Every empire believes it's different. Every empire thinks the rules of history don't apply to them. Every empire claims they're too powerful, too wealthy, too advanced to collapse. And every single time, history proves them wrong. Rome thought its armies guaranteed immortality. Spain thought its oceans of silver made it untouchable. Britain thought its global empire would last forever. And today, America believes its dollar, its military, its dominance is permanent. But history doesn't care about belief. It follows patterns, cold, mathematical, unforgiving patterns. And right now, the United States is following the same blueprint that destroyed the greatest empires before it. This isn't speculation. This isn't fear-mongering. This is the documented cycle of empire collapse, repeated again and again for over 2,000 years. And once you understand this blueprint, you'll realize that what's happening right now isn't new. It's a rerun. Let's begin with the empire that defined the word power. Rome didn't fall in a day. It fell in stages, predictable, measurable, mathematically inevitable stages. At its height, Rome controlled 60 million people, 3 continents, multiple cultures, and the most powerful military the world had ever seen. But Rome's true power wasn't its army. It wasn't its territory. It wasn't its politics. Rome's real power was its currency, the silver denarius. A denarius minted in 211 BC contained 4.5 grams of nearly pure silver. For centuries, it was trusted everywhere from Britain to Egypt. It was stable. It was valuable. It was real. But empires have a fatal weakness. They cost more to maintain than they generate. More borders, more soldiers, more wars, more administration, more debt. So Rome followed the blueprint. The same blueprint every empire follows before it collapses. Stage 1. Expansion beyond sustainability. Roman borders stretched thousands of miles. The armies grew bigger. The roads, aqueducts, and cities required constant upkeep. Expenses skyrocketed. Stage 2. Deficit spending. Rome started spending more than it earned. The treasury drained. The empire became addicted to military spending and welfare programs. Stage 3. Currency debasement. When you spend more than you earn, you have only 2 options. Tax more, which causes revolt, or print more, which causes collapse. Rome chose printing. Nero cut silver purity from 100% to 90%. Then Caracalla cut it to 50%. Then Gallienus cut it to 5%. That means a soldier paid in 265 AD received coins worth 1/20th of what soldiers earned 2 centuries earlier. On the surface, nothing changed. The coin still said denarius. It still had the emperor's face. It still looked the same. But inside, the value was gone. Rome wasn't minting money anymore. It was minting deception. Stage 4. Inflation and breakdown. Prices soared. Farmers refused worthless coins. Citizens hoarded gold. Trade froze. The military demanded real silver or gold instead of debased currency. The economy fractured. Trust collapsed. And when the money dies, the empire dies. Rome couldn't pay its armies. Couldn't maintain its infrastructure. Couldn't govern. Couldn't survive. In 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire officially fell, not because barbarians were powerful, but because Rome became weak from the inside. Currency collapse, economic collapse, political collapse, military collapse. Blueprint complete. Jump forward 12 centuries. Spain becomes the richest empire on earth, not because it produced wealth, but because it stole it. The discovery of the New World created a river of silver flowing into Spain. The Potosi mine in modern-day Bolivia produced nearly half the world's silver. Ships carrying mountains of precious metal crossed the Atlantic every month. Spain became powerful. Spain became wealthy. Spain became dominant. But Spain made a fatal mistake. They confused money with wealth. They believed more money meant more prosperity. They believed the blueprint of collapse didn't apply to them. But the blueprint doesn't care what empires believe. Stage 1. Overabundance. When Spain flooded Europe with silver, it unintentionally triggered the same mechanism that always destroys currencies. More money, same goods, higher prices. Between 1500 and 1600, prices in Europe increased tenfold. Silver was still pure, but there was too much of it. And that's all inflation really is. Too much money chasing too few goods. Stage 2. Military overreach. Spain tried to control every ocean, every colony, every trade route. The Spanish Armada consumed fortunes. Wars across Europe burned mountains of silver. Stage 3. Default and collapse. By the 1600s, Spain had defaulted multiple times. Silver couldn't save them because the blueprint doesn't reward illusions. Spain didn't become wealthy. It became addicted to money that didn't reflect real productivity. When the money system broke, the empire broke. Blueprint repeated. Collapse complete. Then came the British Empire, the empire on which the sun never set. For 200 years, Britain dominated global trade, global finance, and global politics. The British pound was the world's reserve currency. Other nations pegged their currency to it. Global trade relied on it. Britain's military protected it. Dominance seemed permanent. But like Rome and Spain, Britain followed the blueprint. Stage 1. Overextension. Controlling a quarter of the planet required massive armies, massive fleets, massive infrastructure, massive spending. Stage 2. War debt. 2 world wars drained Britain financially. The empire spent more than it earned, massively more. Stage 3. Currency collapse. After World War II, Britain had no choice but to abandon the gold standard. The pound collapsed in value multiple times. The world shifted to the dollar at Bretton Woods. Within a single generation, the most powerful empire in history went from global superpower to second-tier nation. Not because of conquest, not because of invasion, but because the currency died. Blueprint repeated. Collapse inevitable. Part 4. The Blueprint. The 7-stage cycle of empire collapse. This is the critical moment. Rome, Spain, Britain, all destroyed by the same sequence. A sequence that is cold, mathematical, and unavoidable. 1. Peak dominance, strong currency, strong economy, strong military. 2. Overexpansion, more borders, more commitments, more obligations. 3. Runaway spending, deficits become permanent, debt becomes structural. 4. Currency debasement, Rome, less silver, Spain, too much silver, Britain, left gold, America, money printing. 5. Inflation, prices rise, savings collapse, purchasing power dies. 6. Loss of confidence, citizens stop trusting the currency, foreign nations divest, trade fractures. 7. Collapse, currency fails, empire fails, reset begins. 4 empires. For collapses, 1 blueprint. Everything that destroyed Rome, Spain, and Britain is happening again, step by step, in America. Stage 1. Dominance. The U.S. became the most powerful nation on earth after 1945. The dollar became the global reserve currency. The world trusted America. Stage 2. Overextension. 800+ military bases worldwide. Trillions spent on wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Defense budget larger than the next 10 nations combined. Stage 3. Deficit addiction. The U.S. now runs trillion-dollar deficits even during economic growth. Debt has surpassed $34 trillion. Interest payments alone exceed military spending. Stage 4. Currency debasement. 1971. America left the gold standard. 2008. Money printing begins. 2020 to 2025. Trillions printed out of thin air. More dollars, same goods, higher prices. Exactly like Spain. Exactly like Rome. Exactly like Britain. Stage 5. Inflation, prices rising. Savings shrinking. Dollar purchasing power collapsing. Government says it's temporary. Rome said the same thing. Britain said the same thing. Every collapsing empire says the same thing. Stage 6. Loss of confidence. China, Russia, Brazil, India, all moving away from the dollar. Countries trading in yuan. Saudi Arabia leaving the petrodollar system. U.S. allies questioning America's financial stability. The world sees the blueprint. The world knows what comes next. Stage 7. Collapse. This is the stage we don't know the timing of, but the pattern says it's approaching. Will it be a slow British-style decline, a sudden Roman collapse, or a global reset like 1944? Whatever form it takes, the blueprint has never been wrong. Not once. Rome's collapse affected Rome. Spain's collapse affected Spain. Britain's collapse affected Britain. But America? America's currency is the backbone of the global economy. When the dollar collapses, every central bank is impacted. Every financial market is hit. Every trade system breaks. Every nation faces shockwaves. The blueprint doesn't just apply, it multiplies. This won't just be an empire collapse. It will be a global reset. History gives us 3 endings. 1. Slow decline, painful inflation, reduced global power, currency loses dominance, country survives, but weaker. 2. Sudden collapse, currency fails overnight, government loses control, social And political breakdown chaos follows 3. Reset and rebirth, new currency system, maybe gold-backed, maybe digital, maybe multipolar. Old system dies, new system emerges. Which will America choose? We don't know. But the blueprint says a choice must be made soon. Rome believed it was different. Spain believed it was different. Britain believed it was different. America believes it is different. But history doesn't care about belief. It doesn't care about politics. It doesn't care about patriotism. It doesn't care about military strength. History cares about patterns. And the pattern is absolute. Spend more than you earn, collapse. Print more than you produce, collapse. Debase your currency, collapse. Lose trust, collapse. For empires. For collapses. One blueprint. The United States isn't the exception. It's the next chapter. And when the collapse blueprint completes, you'll want to understand exactly what happened and why it was always inevitable. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe, because history repeats itself, but only the prepared understand the pattern.